I'm Alisa, and today I'll be talking to you all about distracted driving. According to the class survey, 93.33% of the audience has felt unsafe as a passenger because somebody was texting and driving. So because of that, I will be focusing a little more on texting and driving. First, I want to talk to you all about the different types of distracted driving. So there's visual, manual, and cognitive. I did bring some props to illustrate what each of these are. So a visual distraction is anything that requires the driver to take their eyes off of the road to visually obtain information. And then a cognitive distraction is anything that would take the driver's mental focus off of the task of safe driving. And a manual distraction is anything that requires the driver to take a hand or both hands off of the wheel in order to manipulate an object or device such as your cell phone. So with texting and driving, they fall into all three different categories of distracted driving. So that makes it extremely dangerous. Would any of you like a ride home after class? Probably not. I am pretty sure I look fairly ridiculous up here right now. If you saw me at a red light on 30, you would probably call the cops immediately. But this is what it's actually like when you're distracted visually, cognitively, and manually while you're driving. Even if it's just for a few seconds, sending a quick text, a few seconds is all it takes, unfortunately, to get into a car accident. So now that I can see again, next we're going to talk about some statistics. So each day in the United States, 9 people are killed and 1,000 are injured in accidents because of distracted driving. The National Highway Traffic and Safety Administration estimates that during the day, there's 660,000 drivers on the road that are using their cell phones during the day. And drivers are 23 times more likely to get into an accident while they're texting and driving. According to the National Safety Council, 1 in 4 accidents are estimated to have involved a cell phone distraction. So that's a lot. So texting and driving is one of the most dangerous forms of distracted driving. And this slide is talking about the average text. So the average text takes your eyes off the road for nearly 5 seconds. 5 seconds may not seem like a very long time, but if you're driving 55 miles per hour, that's 100 yards. That's the entire length of a football field, pretty much with your eyes closed. So I'm going to set a quick timer on my phone to show what 5 seconds really is. Okay, you ready? If anybody wants to close your eyes, go ahead. I will. Okay. So more than enough time to get into a car accident. According to a AAA teen driving study, it was conducted from 2007 to 2015, an average of 59% of crashes contained some type of potentially distracted behavior during the 6 seconds that were leading up to the crash. So when will texting and driving be as taboo as drunken driving? Drinking and driving is something that a lot of people know it's bad. It's something that it took a really long time to change the public's opinion about. There was a point where it was completely socially acceptable to drink all night and drive home. Today, that's not the case. It took people to organize and work together, and groups like Mothers Against Drunk Driving, people to say, look, we've lost a lot of people, we've lost a lot of lives because of something that should just change. And that's really what made a difference. There's a very different social stigma about texting and driving, that it's not a big deal, but it is. So if you were to ask a friend, would you drink and drive? Have you drank and drove in the past month? Many of them would say no, absolutely not. I get an Uber, whatever. But if you ask, have you texted and driven in the past month? Many people will say yeah and not bat an eye about it. Because of that, the social stigma and the idea about texting and driving not being as big of a deal, we're losing a lot of innocent people every day. And it's sad. So this is the comparison. These facts are from the NHTSA and the CDC. and it's 2015, which were the most recent comparisons that I could find. So in 2015, the accidents that resulted in fatalities due to drunk driving were 10,265. And with distracted driving, it was 3,477 people. And in 2015, the accidents that resulted in injuries because of drunk driving was 290,000. With distracted driving, it was 391,000. So these results show that it is comparable and it is dangerous, and there should be awareness and thought put into it. Sorry. So it's my aunt. She just wanted to see if we were still on for baking cookies. It's important. Right, so I probably wouldn't start texting in the middle of my speech. That's my final grade, right? Because that would be ridiculous. I would probably maybe get a bad grade. Professor might think I'm disrespecting the audience. So because this is important, it's good to know that driving is also important. And whatever the text message is, it can wait. So now let's talk a little bit about the solution. So this is from AT&T, and it's just some tips on things you can do instead of texting and driving. So obviously the best way to not text and drive, to stay safe, is to just not text and drive, right? That's a somewhat obvious answer. But because of the dependency we have on technology and how accustomed we are to just, it's almost instinctual to just pick up our phone when it starts buzzing, no matter where we are. So these are some tips to just put it out there that there's other ways to keep safe. There's an AT&T Drive Mode app and a Verizon Safety Go app, and they automatically reply to your incoming text when you're on the road. So it'll just immediately send a text back for you and say, hey, I'm driving. I'll text you later. You can also assign a designated texter. So a family member or friend that you trust receiving your text messages could just send them for you, or out of sight, out of mind. You can put your phone on silent, put it out of reach, and just forget about it for the drive home. You can call instead of text with a Bluetooth function in your car. And it's important to speak up, to speak out. If somebody's texting while you're in the car with them, it's okay to tell them, I'm not okay with this. I don't feel safe. It's important to spread that awareness. So, taking your eyes off the road for a split second is really all it takes to get into a car accident. So I'm kind of just asking, is the text even worth it? And now I'm going to show a video. It's a simulated 360-degree driving experience that demonstrates the dangers of texting and driving. So many people believe that texting and driving isn't a big deal and that it's socially acceptable. But what if one of the 9 people that were killed every day were our parents, our children, our loved ones? If that was the case, if it was somebody that we loved and lost, we wouldn't only cry out for change, we would demand it. In conclusion, we have the power to spread awareness and change what's socially acceptable. We have the power to pay more attention to the roads than our cell phones. Thank you.